Property oversupply hotspots. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article from Yahoo Finance. Now I suspect this is going to become more and more of a trend, discussing, well, property oversupply or parts of the country where, or suburbs, where you just have too many investment grade products appearing on the market. We've seen it here in Brisbane, guys. South Brisbane, it's just flooding on there. And what happens is developers start being creative in the method that they use to entice buyers. And one of them was like the meat raffle, you know, win up to 500 grand in cash if you buy an apartment. And your chances aren't too bad, 1 in 270 apartments. So, you know, but still, it just screams of desperation. You've got apartment developers here in Brisbane selling or offering to pay the mortgage for a year, which is essentially a discount on the apartment. So these are all gimmicks. They're designed to persuade you to think that you're getting a better deal or that you're getting a prize. It's actually better than a discount, because if you're buying into a building that's discounted, you're buying into a bunch of losers. Oh, why would I go in that building? They're losers. They can't sell for what they want. No. Or whereas, oh, fantastic, they're helping people be winners with these discounts and deals. Can you see? Can you see the trick? So, warning, oversupply is causing danger hotspots in these areas. And you know what will happen? The banks will red flag these areas and they won't lend to them. People won't be able to get finance for them. So you'll start to see the property go down and down and down and down. Maybe. There are certain buildings, you know, they're risk managers. They're not our friends. They're risk managers, which is fine. You've got to, once you understand that, that's all good. Just know what their game is. It's to manage risk. So investors are being warned against buying properties in 4 danger suburbs across New South Wales due to an oversupply of new developments. You've got to remember, everyone, properties take a long time. Like, these apartment projects are big. They take a long time to build, a long time to design. So even while building approvals have shot up, those projects may not go through to the next stage. People may just take the job to building approval, have it all locked in, and then shelve it until the market improves, until conditions improve, and moving ahead of it. So all of us in the game who are, you know, hoping for a tick up, it may not manifest. Parramatta, Mascot, Rose Hill in Sydney are expected to see 1,500 more apartments built, representing a 13% hike in the number of apartments within the next 2 years, property experts told realestate.com.au. So not only are you competing with everyone else in your tower when you buy the apartment, but you're competing with all of the other developments that are popping up around you. You're competing with all of the other stock in the apartment. So if some people start to fall over and start to have forced sales, the value of their property will go down and the value of yours will go down too. What about all the people that bought off the plan? The brilliant move, which makes sense in a market that's climbing, but not in a market where you're getting no capital gain. So meanwhile, a surge in new developments in Gosford on the New South Wales Central Coast is expected to add a further 1,900 apartments, which would represent a 73% increase in the number of units available there. That's just crazy. And let's have a look at Gosford. I've got my Google Earth up and we're jumping here. So it's, there you go. It's, you know, north of Sydney. It's not too far. It's closer than a commute from Newcastle, that's for sure. Could you make the Gosford commute, guys? Could you do it to the Sydney, or is it just too far? It looks a little too far for me to imagine. Hang on, let's how far is it from the birds? Oh, 50 kilometers. But that's pretty hilly. It looks like a bit of a mission. Looks like a few hours getting up there. Let me know, Sydneyites, if you could actually do the commute from Gosford, or is that like where people downsize and, you know, oh, look at that. It's nice there on the lake. Can you get out to the ocean there? You can. You can. We'll have to see. But, I mean, a 73% increase, guys, that's crazy. That is crazy. The oversupply has the potential to cause dangerous price reductions. Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you flood the market, everyone. This isn't rocket science. Risk-wise, Chief Executive Doron Peleg said there were already risks associated with off-the-plan units, but they had been exacerbated during the pandemic. And we've seen this in other articles repeated again and again. I mean, this is the thing. Foreign investment, guys, has fueled an apartment building frenzy. And there's a quote that I like to refer to that really scared me when I first saw this from Matt Berry. In 2016, 67% of our GDP came from Sydney and Melbourne, and 25% of that, or 24% of that, was from an apartment building frenzy in Sydney CBD to Macquarie Park. So 24% or 67% of the GDP growth in the entire nation came in that area, and just apartments going up. And a big chunk of that is foreign investment. You can see here, look at that spike in building approvals for foreign investors, nearly hitting 100% during the apartment building frenzy. And how else does that manifest, guys? Property prices are shooting up. We have a apartment, really a house, a property obsession in Australia. It really is an obsession. I mean, how many of us, when you watch the TV, who watches normal television, when, you know, Home Builder this, The Block this, all these bloody shows, every man and his dog is buying houses and flipping them, or buying them and renting them. But no, you can't be a renter because everyone looks down on renters, but then everyone depends on them for their passive income. It's all part of their scheme. So it's a real mess we've gotten into. So one of the biggest risks is the glut of new apartment projects in some areas will coincide with reduced buyer demand, particularly from investors, he said. Investor activity was low before the pandemic because of tighter lending restrictions, but falling rents and rising vacancies have created a further disincentive for new investors to purchase units. The sector has also taken a beating due to several new buildings suffering defects, with buyers already warned that 97% of apartments in New South Wales have defects. Okay, now that sounds scary, but that's just what happens in construction, guys. Every project has defects. That's why you have a defects liability period after you've got practical completion. Now, the problem is when the body corporates don't enforce that, or when there's a conflict of interest from the body corporate management company and the builder, because a lot of the people buying into these things don't realize the relationships. You know, there could be corruption there. That's the potential. There's the two sides of this problem. One is at the beginning of these projects where it's design and construct, and the developer and builder and certifier really, you know, could potentially cause conflict of interest there and corner cutting, which could happen. The traditional policemen of the industry just aren't there anymore. And you've got to understand, these developers, they buy these properties, these apartments, they build them to flip. So it's different to an owner or a property owner or build business who is expecting to hold onto an asset, because then the long-term maintenance becomes part of their concern. Then you've got it at the other end too with the defects liability period. So don't be scared that buildings have defects. I'd suggest you wait before you get into something. I wouldn't buy off the plan, because then you don't know what defects you are. You want to know what defects have materialized a year later to see if the sinking fund has the capacity to deal with it. You don't want to be stuck with the Mascot Towers, guys. You don't want to be stuck with, well, let's have a look. You don't want to be stuck with a Zetland Apartments, you know, which are essentially empty. You don't want to have Sugar Cube. Someone sent me photos of Sugar Cube, still empty. It's land contamination, guys. They, instead of removing the contaminated land, they just put it under the street. That's what I've been told. I've got some documents there that I'm trying to. I need to do some freedom of information requests. That's what's been told to me by council workers, and now they can't occupy it. It's not really in the news anymore, is it? So this is the problem, guys, of going into these things. You want to wait, because buying off the plan is risky. It is risky. And there's now all the construction risk, because that will materialize. Because when a market overheats, guys, you're put under pressure to deliver quick. We saw it in the mining sector. We were churning out stuff so fast. You know, concept. You get really good at it, but you know, that's the chance for mistakes are made. which isn't well, in mining and office building, it's pretty systematized that the risks aren't there. We would identify, because we were often doing, tender submissions for big mines, we'd identify all these drawings that come in for the original scheme that we'd have to completely modify and adjust to actually make legally compliant. That was part of our fun. So that's the other issue. But that's the advice I'd give you, is to wait and be patient. But I know it's not popular these days. And they're saying 85%. So what the real issue is that Sydney has a higher defects ratio than the rest of the country. These high-profile reports of cladding issues and defects also damage the reputation of the off-the-plan sector, encouraging more investors to seek out house and land packages instead. Buyer advocacy group Buyers co-founder Peter Morgan said the risk in oversupplied suburbs were compounded by border closures due to the pandemic. As a result of the lockdown, there were less tourists and international students. Instead, he encouraged buyers to seek out investments which offered scarcity value, and most people aren't going to do that. Most people buying a little spec house or buying an apartment, they're not doing that. The land is where the scarcity is. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Do you think there could be some opportunities in these apartments in the next few years? Be brave to jump in. As always, thanks for watching. If you're a fan of the channel and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day. I'll see you next time.